This is Mo Bashir for The Hook. Delighted to be joined by Dominic from 258 Management. Dominic, firstly, we're here at this event where Matchroom are extending their deal for another 5 years with DAZN. Firstly, just a couple of thoughts on that. What do you think of that deal?
I think first things first, big up all the Matchroom crew. I think it's a massive deal for boxing. I think, as Eddie said, it's quite a volatile industry where that sort of long-term commitment from a broadcaster can be very difficult, even though Matchroom have done an amazing job with their fighters and an event. So I think for them to achieve this deal, to get it signed, get it over the line, it's massive for boxing and massive for everyone involved with the company and the stable.
Perfect. Let's talk about you, because we were speaking a little bit off camera, and you're 25 years of age. You said you worked in athlete management for 258 for 5 years. How did you get into, firstly, actually there might be a couple people on here who don't really know who 258 is. Are you able to give an explanation onto what you guys do?
Of course. So 258 is an athlete management company specialised in boxing, founded by Anthony Joshua. We work in the boxing industry, primarily managing and operating and guiding the careers of boxers inside and outside of the ring also.
Well put. And how did you get into doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, great question. It's always a great story. So I always wanted to work in the business side of sport. I was an athlete myself. So when I was at university, I began doing what all university students should do. You create your LinkedIn, you start... who called me? Is that Jasora there? It's Jasora there. That's one of our clients. So
he's like, I should be on this side.
Yeah, I know, he's probably going to tell me off now. But I was networking with people in the industry, and I knew I wanted to work in the business side of sport as an agent. Was a massive fan of AJ, so naturally I knew of the 258 brand and the agency. So I actually reached out to a couple of people at the company. One of them actually didn't reply to me on Instagram, but one of them did. And I was just asking for advice on the industry, anything I could do to just kind of really learn more about it. And they were looking for an intern at the time, funnily enough. So it was a mix of persistence and timing, couple of interviews, sent my CV in, and then started as an intern during my last year of university. And that's how the journey began.
What did you study at uni?
I did sports communications and marketing. So I had two choices. I was either going to go into sports management, which is what I do now, or actually sports journalism, which is what you do. So it was between the two.
Awesome. And then obviously you worked for 258 for 5 years now. What is an athlete management? What's your role?
So essentially, athlete management is being involved in all aspects of a fighter's career, and I like to think of it more than being just an agent, because an agent just brokers deals, and once the deal's done, you might not hear from them until there's another deal to do. What I think an athlete manager really takes the role of a sports agent, but takes it a bit further and really looks after the boxer both inside and outside of the ring. And I think inside of the ring is one thing, and doing deals and sorting out promotional contracts is one thing, but the marketing side of it, the media side of it, the personal touch as well, in terms of helping a boxer set up their career and their life and trying to really be that support network for them. I think that's what an athlete manager incorporates, and that's what I try to do every day for our clients.
I was speaking to Freddie actually off camera, and I sort of described it to him as maybe pioneering a new sort of era of sport, because there's been a lot of horror stories of athletes making a lot of money during their prime years and then it not going to plan afterwards. So is that sort of your main role, to make sure financially that they can have the career outside the ring as well as inside the ring?
For sure. I think the first things first, I think you want to guide the fighters inside the ring. I think sometimes you almost can look too far as an athlete manager and agent, and obviously you don't want any horror stories to happen to any boxer, but I think the first things first is guiding their career inside the ring, trying to maximize it outside the ring with the media, with the commercial and the marketing opportunities. And then when you get to a point where a fighter where you've been working for them or working with them for 5 years, 10 years, and they're coming to the natural end of every athlete's career, obviously then it becomes more of a prominent thing where you're thinking about aftercare and what they're going to do afterwards. But I think at the start you want to put the boxing at the forefront, try and build that ecosystem around them, and all of those things like post-career and making sure that they're set up properly for it. They naturally come in once the box is established.
Do you guys work with boxers after they finish their career as well?
I think we actually don't, I think even though it feels like 258 has been around for a long time, we actually haven't been up to a point with a boxer where they've actually retired and they're looking for something to do afterwards. But I think naturally, if you've been working with a boxer for 5-10 years, it's not just they stop boxing and we go, see you later. Like, of course, if there's a capacity for us to help them post-career, I think we always do that. We're always going to try to do that. We haven't done it yet, but we're going to try to do that because I think there's a massive part of it, the aftercare, especially for boxers when they finish retiring.
You touched upon like working with the younger fighters. What is, obviously there's a lot of great talent here. I was interviewing Lele Buttigieg. George Liddard was on stage there as well. What can the youngsters coming through, how can they sort of get themselves in a position where they're like a George Liddard and they're fighting for titles outside the ring? Like, how do they improve their commercial opportunities, social media? Like, what's your advice to them coming through?
I think inside the ring, I'll say this. I think the first things first, the boxing always has to come first. You've got to be performing. In boxing, you do kind of have to be knocking people out and really putting on stellar performances to really garner that attention. I think that should always be at the forefront. I think outside the ring, of course, you've got your classic fundamentals. Make sure you're posting about your journey. Let people into your journey. Don't just show yourself hitting a bag as a boxer. Show yourself on holiday. Show a bit of your personal life if you're comfortable doing that. And show the things that really matter to you outside of boxing, because I think that's what resonates with people. And I think that's what brands really like as well, when they can see you do more than just hit the bag and run miles and knock people out. They want to know the person, because I think that's who they really buy into. But I think, I think the first thing is always keep the boxing at the forefront. Make sure you're training, make sure you're performing when you get into the ring, and also do the stuff outside. Come to events like this if you have the opportunity to, and really keep putting yourself out there. And I think another massive thing is starting small, in terms of make sure you're a star in your hometown. Make sure all the local businesses know who you are. Make sure you keep yourself in touch with the people in your local area, because if you can dominate your town and be a star in your town, that's when you can build out and conquer the world.
Oh, that's a great piece of advice. You work with athletes day to day, right? What are the biggest sort of challenges that they face now in today's society, do you think?
Yeah. I think keeping it boxing focused, I think obviously is a very hard transition going from amateur to pro. It's not like football where there's so much care for like young footballers. You see the academy footballers, they get very well looked after. Boxing, going from the amateur to pro, is quite a big transition, and you kind of have to be your own boss, especially at a very, very young age, and have all the answers to everything. And I think that's where having a good team is very, very important as well. Making sure you've got a manager who's got your best interests at heart, can really help and guide you as well. So I think the biggest thing is perseverance, especially for boxers, because it can be very, very hard. The big promoters, getting a deal from them is not the easiest thing in the world, and there's so many talented fighters as well. So I think the biggest thing is perseverance, having a good support network, especially your family as well, just letting your talent shine through and just staying at it.
Awesome. And let's talk a little bit about your client, Mr. Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
Because he is, I don't know where he is, so he's over there. He's somewhere, he's lurking. He's probably going to come around behind me.
Yeah.
He's 42 years of age, I think. 40 odd. Why do you think he's got that desire to keep on fighting? Obviously, you know him maybe now as a personal level. Like, why do you think he just can't stop?
He loves the sport. He loves the sport, and I think, do you know what? He's got a real emotional connection to how the fans make him feel as well. I think the last fight against Wallin in Manchester, like, that's the first time I've really seen him a little bit emotional, even in the changing room, because obviously that was meant to be like the last dance, so to say. Well, one of the last dances. So like him knowing that that's one of the last times he's going to feel that love from the crowd and the thrill of being in the ring. I think all fighters will probably share the same sentiment. They love that, and it's very hard to let go. I think obviously there's a financial element to it. Listen, he's still a massive star in the heavyweight division. The fight, I think everyone's got a massive appetite for the Wilder fight. That's why it's happened. That's why MF Pro and Queensbury have put it on. So I think a mix of obviously still being a draw financially and in a boxing sense, but also the emotion of loving the sport as a fighter and wanting to fight on as long as you can, because once you're done, and that feeling's not going to come back of ring walking and being in the ring. So I don't think any fighter willingly lets it go. So I think that's why he's still around and he's still got so much to offer, especially in this fight.
You mentioned MF Pro. They're obviously a newer entity coming into the sport. Vidal Riley has played a big part in their promotion. How important were they to sort of getting the fight over the line between him and Deontay Wilder?
I think massively. I think they're a promotion with big potential. Obviously, they've linked up with DAZN as well, so another promoter that's on the platform. And I think for them, the classic thing has always been, it's not real boxing, is it? Or like, what kind of boxing is it going to be? Because they've obviously got two sides of the business side. They've got the pro side and they've got the influencer side. So I think a fight like Wilder Chisora is the perfect statement for their business. And I think they're only going to go on bigger from there. But what a great start having that fight headlining at the O2.
Just as a question that I find quite interesting is like, why were they able to get the fight over the line and maybe another promoter wasn't able to, do you think?
I think there's always various factors. Wilder will have his people that are also looking for the best broadcaster. Obviously, Derek has worked with all of the promoters, the Matchrooms, the Queensburys, etc. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. Obviously, the finances for both guys are going to be massive, especially at this point of their career. But I think all in all, the fighters are going to go to the place with the best deal. And I know there was multiple promoters interested in promoting it, and MF Pro came with the best deal, so that's why they went for that. Well, that's why we went for that.
Awesome. Final couple, because I know I've been going for quite a while. Thank you so much for your time, by the way. What does 2026 look like for 258 management?
I think the goal is always the same, to get our fighters active, get our fighters climbing. We've got a few that are really looking to make big strides in their career. Vidal Riley's boxing for the European title as the co-main event. Obviously, Derek has got his own fight against Wilder, which is potentially going to be his last one. We don't know, so that's massive. Shannon Ryan, we're looking to push her onto world titles, and we've got a load of prospects coming through. Jermaine Jaleo, who's Derek's nephew, who's also going to be boxing very, very soon. Serious prospect at featherweight. Owen Lavin, who's also climbing up the ranks at Queensbury in the middleweight division. So yeah, we're just looking to continually build, sign new and exciting fighters, and hopefully bring them through.
And personally for you, what does 2026 look like?
Wow. It's always hard to quantify. I think sometimes, I found in this industry, I think sometimes just giving your best every day, listening is the best way to go. Sometimes it's very difficult to set specific goals, but again, I think if the fighters are doing well, I must be doing well, and I must be doing my job as well. So I think more growth, to be in more rooms like this, speaking to more chief execs and growing in that way. So yeah, taking it day by day and just continually growing.
Dominic, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.